Welcome to Beacon Radio with your host, Steve Teal. Beacon Radio, delivering hope, inspiration, and change. For more information about the Beacon, log on to sabeacon.com. And now, with this week's Beacon Radio, here's your host, Steve Teal.
It is World Cup time. I am so excited. And even though the U.S. is not going to Russia, I'm bummed about that, but our producer, Ernesto, he is very happy that Mexico is. He's giving a salute right now. But I still, even without the U.S. in it, I'm going to be watching as many matches as possible. It's just an incredible event. And I am sorry that the U.S. missed out for sure, but we're going to talk to Caleb Stanko. You're going to meet him. He is a Christian soccer player who plays in the Bundesliga for Freiburg. He's played with the U.S. men's national team. You'll hear about that. You're going to hear about some of his experiences in the Bundesliga. Really interesting. I want to tell you he's got an encouraging word. If you're a parent or grandparent, you have an athlete that is growing up, this young man has his priorities straight. His focus on Christ, his focus on using the platform that he has to reach people with the message of Christ. We'll talk a little bit about that too. You don't want to miss it. He really has a great message, not just for them, but for me and for you as well. I'm Steve Teal. This is Beacon Radio, and what a great time we have each and every Saturday right here on KSLR. We'll be right back after this break.
Did you know that everybody that's walking on the planet is asking the same three big questions? Who am I? What's my purpose? And who are my friends? Everyone is trying to establish what their identity is, what their purpose is, and who they belong to, who's their tribe. And you know what? Jesus has one answer for all three questions. In John 15, he says, "Abide in me." Find your identity in me as my dearly loved child. Find your purpose in me as you reveal God's glory to the world and to people that don't know me. And find your friends, your sense of belonging as part of my family, the church. When we abide in Jesus, we live in peace. Hey, this is Kirk Freeman. I'm the pastor at Crossbridge Community Church, and we talk about Jesus like this every Sunday, and we'd love for you to come be a part of our family. Why don't you check us out on the web at crossbridgecommunitychurch.com.
Beacon Radio, I am so excited. We get to talk to Caleb Stanko today. Let me just say welcome to Beacon Radio, Caleb. How you doing today?
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be on the show.
Man,
doing well. Thanks.
Good. I'm glad that you are. And I got to say, here's part of the deal. San Antonio and Austin, if you're listening, if you're a longtime listener, you know we're really good friends with Rocco Grimaldi. He's been just a great hockey player for the San Antonio Rampage. But more than that, he's a great Christian brother, and we just love him, and we love hearing about his faith. He's brought a lot of insights into Beacon Radio. And with the World Cup coming up, it was probably a few months ago, we started kind of following Caleb Stanko because you're such good friends with Rocco. What's the story behind that? And then I want to make sure our listeners know that. Let me give a little tease about you, just in case they're like, all right, I want to hear more about Caleb Stanko. He is playing in the Bundesliga in Germany. This is the top division. This is where the top American players are landing these days. That's where they want to be. And there's only about 10 to a dozen German Americans, and of that 10 to 12, I think about 6, or you probably know the right number, but it's a small elite number of Americans that are over there, and Caleb Stanko is, that's crazy to me. That is the place to be, and Caleb is playing for Freiburg over there, which is amazing. So, I just want to make sure people understand. That is a big deal. So let me say this about Rocco, and Rocco set this up because how are you guys friends? What's the background? Give us a little background before we talk a lot of soccer.
Well, I'm originally from Michigan, and Rocco moved to Michigan in 7th grade to Oakland Christian, so we went to the same school. Okay. He moved there for hockey. So we were in school together from 7th grade up until 10th grade, and we still hung out because when in 10th grade, he moved down to Ann Arbor.
Okay.
And went to the national team Yeah, it was like a national team academy or something like that in Ann Arbor. But that's how we first met each other, is through Oakland Christian.
And this is not like a big school, right? I mean, this is a relatively small Christian school, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think our graduating class was maybe 50 guys, 50, 60 people total.
Wow.
So it was really small. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's crazy to me that we have two like world-class athletes coming from a small, very small Christian school. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's a godsend to be able to know someone that's a Christian and to have them put into such a small school. I mean, it was awesome to grow up and to learn from each other. When we were younger.
Right. Okay. So you guys kind of hit it off from the beginning, or?
Absolutely. I mean, we were always getting in trouble together, and we were always trying to, always bothering the teachers. It was the best. We had a great time in school.
I can't imagine Rocco doing that. I'm totally lying. I'm kidding. I can completely imagine him doing that. So you guys did that together? What were you doing to mess with the teachers?
Well, I mean, the problem is that the teachers loved us. They loved us because we got good grades, but we'd always, just mess around with them, just doing stupid, silly stuff.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. All right. Okay, very cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about your soccer career, and also, listeners, we're going to talk about Caleb's faith and how important that is to him. And I've got questions about how hard it would be to be kind of pretty much on your own, I'm going to guess, over in Germany. So why don't you trace us through some of your story? I mean, how do you wind up in Germany? Like I said, that is the place to be for the top Americans, so it's pretty amazing that you're there. What's the background?
So between the ages of 7 and 17, I played for Vardar Academy in Michigan. Okay. And then at 16 and a half, I went over and tried out for Freiburg, so SC Freiburg in Germany, for their youth team. Yeah. And they said, okay, we really like you, but you're not old enough yet. They said you have to wait another half year, and then you can come over at 17. Okay. So I waited, and then I ended up going over there at 17 by myself.
Let's talk about that for a second. I mean, sure. 17 years old, 16 and a half years old. I mean, how hard was that a decision for you to make? Because I know of guys that are out of college that are well-known Americans, and they have a trial over in Germany, and they're like, I think I'm going to stay in the MLS or whatever, which is fine. But at 16 and a half, 17, what was your thought process on, no, I'm just going to go for it?
Starting at the age of 10 or 11 is really when I got into, this is what I want to do. All I thought about, all I cared about, all I did was soccer and trying to make it in Europe. In Germany, England, Spain, Italy, these are the top countries to play in. Yeah. And so if I got an opportunity to go over there, I was taking it. So the opportunity arose, and I said, there's no way I'm turning this down. So I of course I knew it was going to be a huge struggle, but this is what I've always wanted to do. So it was not a hard decision. It was a hard decision, convincing my parents.
Is that right?
But it was hard, But for me, it was really, there's no doubt in my mind that's what I wanted to do.
Okay, all right. I want to back up a little bit more too. When you're 10 or 11, not too many. I mean, 10 or 11-year-olds know this is exactly what I want to do. Some of them know, and then, they turn 14 or they turn 18 or turn 20 or turn 30 and are like, no, I didn't want to do that. What was it for you at such a young age? Were you just always that kid who just knew? I mean, how did that happen?
I don't really know, but I've always loved playing sports, and in our house we were only allowed to play one sport, at a time. So my parents said, yeah, you can play hockey or soccer. And I cried about this when I was maybe like 5 or 6 years old. Like, I want to play soccer, but I also want to play hockey. And so I could never give up soccer. And here's another funny thing that most people probably don't know about me. Yeah. Is we'd always, how you get those wish chips, in like Dorito packs or whatever, like where they're folded over. Yeah. Yeah, so I would always pray and make a wish and say, God, make me a professional soccer player or a professional hockey player. That's all I wanted to be my entire life. Wow. I thought every time I got one of those chips, I'd eat one and I'd say that. Wow. Yeah, it's funny. And it's funny, it's so cool that, my best friend is a professional hockey player and I'm a professional soccer player. So it's kind of cool how that worked out.
That is really cool. So when you were that young, you knew it was sports. So even at that young an age, you must have been kind of, I mean, not to make you brag, but I mean, you had to be kind of shining, kind of standing out a little bit in your soccer or hockey games or anything.
Well, sure. I mean, of course, there were definitely gifts that were given to me that were not given to other people, but something that Rocco and I both share, and I think a lot of Christian, athletes share, is our determination to work hard. Like, we work so hard, and we have to persevere through so many things. And I think that's like a common thread within Christian athletes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see very many Christian athletes who are just the absolute best. Of course, there are some, but it seems like a lot of them are guys who are willing to do more than everyone else. And I think that's where Rocco and I keep saying us together, but it's true.
Yeah.
Rocco and I are really, in the same boat. That we really, stand out from a lot of the other guys on our team, or even, in just the athletic world, is that we work so hard. We want it so badly. We're working for a higher cause.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's talk about that, because I know someone listening out there today is they have kids that are in athletics, and I know. I mean, it is really easy to be swept up in just the glory of it and what it might achieve for you, whether it's a scholarship or whether it's fame or whether it's this or that. But are you telling me that at a relatively young age, you had God so in the mix that you were really thinking, I mean, how can I bring glory to God? How did that work for you, Caleb?
Absolutely. I've always had dreams of using soccer to bring the gospel to other places. I mean, I've always had different ideas of, when I was young, I said, what kind of a soccer camp can I do? And one of the things I haven't told really anybody.
Good. We want to hear it.
Radio show.
Yes.
But I really want to, and I don't know how to do it yet. So, but this is one of the things that I want to help out with. Is I want to start some kind of soccer foundation where I can help out, people who are struggling, and be able to start some kind of Christian soccer camp. This actually summer, I was able to make some really cool donations to my local church in Holly, Michigan, to the River Church. They have a connection with this South African missionary.
Yeah.
Well, he's an American missionary who's in South Africa, and they did different soccer camps down there, and I was able to help out with that. And that was just, really cool to see how God worked, and I want to continue to do that.
So what might that, I mean, just as you're brainstorming and, figuring it out, what do you see that camp being different, or what's it going to look like in your mind? And you're allowed to change it, as the vision comes more clear, but why do you feel like that's something God's put on your heart, and what's going to make it different? What do you think?
I mean, at the end of the day, soccer is just a game. I mean, there needs to be a bigger, there needs to be something behind it. But I also think that soccer is a great tool. It connects so many people. I mean, how many people around the world play soccer? And I think it's a great way to use as a tool to share the gospel. And that's what I want to do. That's what I think this camp would be able to do.
Wow, man, that's exciting. That is really exciting, man. What a phenomenal vision that God is putting on your heart, Caleb. This is very cool. Very cool. All right. Okay. So let's. Yeah. It's very exciting, and thanks for Beacon Radio getting to be the first people to hear about this.
You and maybe two other people have heard.
Okay, well, that's very cool. Well, we know you got some deep roots in Michigan, but San Antonio, Austin has some really strong soccer community too. Yeah. So, man, we would love to have the first Caleb Stanko camp down here. That would be awesome. Just crazy idea. Yeah. Just throwing it out there. All right, so let's back up again then. And I love this because, again, kids and parents can get so carried away with the dreams for their kids that they can lose sight, even good Christian parents, of, hey, what about your faith? And what about, sharing your faith? And it sounds like something about, definitely, I mean, I know that about Rocco, and it sounds like just like for you, Caleb, it's just always been different. Did that come from your parents, or is that something that you just knew early on, like, hey, this is about something more bigger than just me?
I think it's different. I don't think my parents never pushed me into sports. They really just wanted me to do whatever I wanted to. I mean, obviously I come from a Christian family, so that's most important.
Yeah.
But I don't know. If I had kids, I probably would not want to push my kids to be professional athletes. I would want that to come from them because I think we're all given different gifts.
Yeah.
But of course, Christ needs to be the center of all of this.
Right.
No matter what you do, you need to glorify God in what you do. Right. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. All right, so let's go here. I mean, you're 16 and a half years old. You go to Freiburg. Does your mom or dad go with you, or how does that work?
So the first time I went over there, no, that's not correct. The first time I went over there, I went by myself. That was just for the trial. And
that's
then,
crazy.
Yeah, that was really interesting. And then when I went to move, my brother and my parents both came. So they came for a 2-week period, and they helped me move into my apartment and set up a bank account. So they did help me, with the basic stuff.
But you were 17.
They didn't know how to do. I didn't know how to do. It was all new for everyone. The club helped out a lot.
Wow.
And then after that, after the 2-week period, they went home. And so, that first year and a half was really difficult. That was probably the hardest thing I've had to go through in my whole life, probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, talk to us about that. What was it like? I mean, I don't know. I know you're fluent now, aren't you, in German? I mean, I've seen you talking to German kids.
I'm fluent. Yeah, I'm fluent.
I mean, I watching the video, and I'm like, man, this kid is fluent. But back then, did you know any German?
I didn't know any. No, I didn't know anything. I didn't know any German. And the guys on the team, for whatever reason, I mean, it's kind of like you got to prove it. You got to prove yourself, and make it harder for the new guy. And that's, I don't know, it's just the way that they do it over there. And it also helps you learn the language. But no one wanted to speak English. No one would speak English. Whoa. It wasn't until 6 months in that I could understand and speak a little bit that now they want to start, practicing their English. I was like, great, guys. You guys are the best. So,
you guys are the best. That's crazy. Now, I remember even from, probably, I'd say to this point, our most famous American player, Landon Donovan. I remember him going to Germany, and he had, as I recall, a very rocky experience. And Germany, I would think you're not only the new guy, but you're the American new guy.
Correct.
What was that like? I can't imagine. I feel like they would be harder on you than anybody else, because that's what I recall about Landon Donovan. That's
absolutely correct. And jumping ahead a little bit to, the past few years and this year and everything, it's hard out there for Americans. You really have to work harder than everyone else. You really have to prove yourself in order to get playing time. And I understand how, it would be the same thing for me if I had, for example, if I had a Christian kid on my team, I would want him to succeed. Yeah. And the same thing goes for them. If they have a German player coming through their system, they would rather push him through than a foreigner, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And that's I understand that. Because that helps their German national team. So of course they want to push these guys through. So that part, it makes it more difficult, but it doesn't make it impossible.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's talk about that first year and a half, Caleb, when it was the hardest part of your life. What did get you through it? You had to have extreme, I'm guessing, isolation and feeling pretty alone.
Yeah, that was definitely a tipping point for me. It was kind of like a sink or swim moment in multiple areas of my life. Simple things such as doing my laundry and cooking and all those things, those are all new. But just being in a different country and having players, teammates, be pretty rough with you just because they don't want you to succeed, because if you succeed, that means you're taking not only an opportunity but money and a future away from them.
Wow.
So it gets really hard. It's cutthroat. Yeah. It's cutthroat.
Yeah.
And the only thing I had to rely on at that time, what can I grasp? My family's not here. I have no friends. it's really only God. That's the only person I have. That's the only person that's there with me, right?
Yeah.
That was, it's like it's me and God versus Germany, or not really. It's not like that. Because, it just felt that way to me.
Yeah. So how did you draw on that strength? So, I mean, that is a make or break sort of time, because I know plenty of, full-grown adults, never mind 17-year-old kids that could run the other way, could decide, man, I'm going to go crazy because I feel alone. I'm going to do this or that. I mean, how did you at that young an age just, man, really strengthen your faith in Jesus?
I don't know. I really don't know. I definitely, it's a lot of grace and from God to be able to draw me in on those moments, but I also felt like I didn't have another choice.
Yeah.
I always, my choice, like I was talking actually to someone about this today. Yeah. The greatest gift, like one of the greatest gifts that God has given me is my competitive spirit. And I'm willing to compete no matter what the stakes are, and no matter how weak I am or how far behind I am. I don't care where I'm at. I'm going to try to compete, and I'm going to compete, and I'm going to try to win. I'm here to win. And
wow,
when I first came over there, when I came over there, they're not going to bring over a foreign player unless he's, above average than, that group. He needs to be at a top level. Otherwise, they'll just take a local kid, another German. So when I first got over there, though, there were so many other aspects to living over there that I wasn't expecting that made it really hard. So my level of play, just dropped dramatically. There's so many things to adjust to.
Right.
But after being like, so I was, there was times when I wasn't making the bench,
Yeah.
And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, I was supposed to be the top, 2-3 guys on this team, and I'm not even making the bench. So just having to go through all those different things, and finally, making the bench, and then playing, and then starting, and then that year we actually won the German national title for that U19s.
Wow.
And I started and I played the whole game, and and that's kind of like, that's how actually my career has been. It's been like, valleys and mountains, right? I mean, don't we talk about that and in everything really in life? But that's how my career has been. Downs, ups and downs, really.
Right. Okay, well, take us through some of those ups. I mean, you do. It's 6 months in. Let's say someone's listening and they're in a new situation. Maybe it's not sports at all, but they're struggling to make that adjustment or to prove themselves, or they're just not at the top of their game that they expected to be because there are so many things thrown at them. I mean, you made that transition. What was it for you? Did just things start to get more normalized to you, and then you could really play at the level that you're expected to play?
I think this is what I would say.
Yeah.
I would say you have to be creative, you have to be courageous, and you have to be willing to try new things. And the biggest one is you have to persevere.
Yeah.
You have to persevere. You have to find strength from an outside source. And my outside source is actually an inner source. It's, my hope in the gospel and believing that my strength is coming from God. And that's what gets me through. That's what enabled me to get through these hard times, to persevere, to be having, to have the courage to say, how can I work on my game? What can I change right now? How can I look at, a practice that I really don't like. I don't like this type of practice. How can I look at it and gain something from it? This coach is yelling at me, and I don't actually know what he's saying. What can I learn, even though I don't understand? Just simple things like that. So being creative, look to be creative, look at things differently, be courageous to push forward, even though it seems hopeless, and persevere. You got to persevere. Even though it's hard, even though you feel like you're not moving, keep going. You'll get through it.
Man, that is phenomenal stuff. And our in-studio audience, our audience today is two kids that are graduating from high school, my son and his friend Juan. I've got David here. And you just gave them like the best graduation speech right there. I mean, that was phenomenal. But it's not just for them. It's for me, and it's for our listeners. I mean, creative, courageous, and perseverance, going back to that determination. And that is just on point. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to our halftime break, and halftime works with soccer. And then we're going to talk some more about your journey, your faith, and get your thoughts on the national team and get your thoughts on the World Cup.
Cool.
So, yeah, we are real excited. We're joined by Caleb Stanko, and he has played for the U.S. men's national team. And I'll just give you this little tease, as I did if you're on Facebook. I'm just saying we did not qualify for the World Cup. Do you know where I'm going to go with this, Caleb?
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, and we lost 2-1, and Caleb did not play. I'm just saying, Caleb did not play, but Caleb did play when the U.S. beat Trinidad and Tobago, both of them, 4-0. And Caleb did play. I think I've got you down for like 25 minutes. All right, that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it to our listeners to draw their own conclusions. Actually, I'll say more after this break. I'm Steve Teal. This is Beacon Radio. You can reach me, Steve, at sabeacon.com. He is Caleb Stanko. We'll be right back. Steve Teal with Beacon Radio, and we're having a great time talking to Caleb Stanko. And I just have to reiterate, I mean, again, he was on the U.S. national team when we were trying to qualify for the World Cup that we did not qualify for. And when he played, did you play like 25 minutes or so, Caleb? Somewhere around there, right?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Something like that. And we won 4-0. And then we just needed... Did we even just need a tie the second time we played Trinidad?
All we needed was a tie.
Oh, my gosh.
All we needed.
Oh, my gosh. That breaks my heart all over again. So, all I'm saying is Caleb Stanko did not play in the second game, and we lost to Trinidad and Tobago in front of like 300 fans in Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, they were going crazy, but it took us out of the World Cup, and so we needed Caleb Stanko out there, that's for sure, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, obviously. All right, let me ask you a little bit about that, and we'll keep talking about faith, and we'll keep talking about your experience in the Bundesliga, but since I brought up the World Cup, that was your first cap with the U.S. men's national team. You'd played with the U20s or you'd played with the national youth teams.
Yeah, I went through the youth system. I played with the U14s, 15s, 17s, 18s and 20s.
Okay, all right. And what was it like? I mean, your first cap, your first experience with the men's national team, is that is that surreal, or is that just what you trained for all your life and you're ready to go?
To be honest, It wasn't as surreal as my first Bundesliga game.
Oh.
I felt like playing in the Bundesliga was just a different feeling, because I guess we were playing, Trinidad and Tobago is not a Italy or a Spain,
right.
It was Trinidad and Tobago. It was still an awesome experience, but I guess it wasn't the same feeling. It was awesome, but not the same.
Yeah, okay. All right. Was Klinsmann still the coach then, or had it already changed?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Klinsmann was the coach.
My son is nodding his head. He knows his soccer better than me by a long shot. All right. So, I want to shift gears and talk about the Bundesliga then. I mean, what was your first game in the Bundesliga, and talk to us about that feeling.
So my first game was against Schalke. They I think they ended up second this year in the Bundesliga, so they were a great team. And it was funny how I actually got even the opportunity, because before the season started, the coach told me, he said, "You're not going to play one game this season."
Whoa, before the season.
Before the season. Before the season, he said, "You're not going to play one game this season." I said, "Okay, coach, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to show you." And the reason was, there are multiple reasons, but he said it doesn't really have to do with my ability. It just has to do with, we have these bigger players. We want to sell these bigger players. That's just kind of, I learned a lot about the dirty side of professional sports. But
Caleb, that's crazy. I would never guess that. I mean, so what could be holding you back in a situation like that is that the club is trying to make more money, and so they've got to showcase other players that they can sell for more money for transfer fees, and that, I mean, so they would take less wins or less points because they got to just financially make it that way instead of putting the best 11 out there.
Right. It's not always as what people, say. It's not always as clear cut as people think.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah. So the coach said, yeah, you're not going to play a game.
All right, wait, Caleb. All right, just between us. I mean,
okay.
honestly,
no one else is listening.
No one else is listening. My mom, my wife, and your mom. That's it. And maybe Rocco.
Perfect.
Maybe Rocco.
Okay, good. Rocco needs to hear this.
Yeah, he needs to hear this. All right. I mean, just your honest assessment. I mean, going into the season, did you feel like, hey, I'm one of the best 11. I need to be out there. I should be out there.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. You knew that.
It's not always easy. It's not always. There's a lot of politics that go into this kind of stuff, into professional sports.
Yeah.
There's a lot of marketing. There's a lot of how much money can I get for this player. There's so much that goes into it. But anyways, getting back to my debut.
Yes. All right. So wait. All right. So the coach tells you, and he did you ask him, like, well, can you tell me why I'm not going to be playing this year? Or did he just tell you, look, it's not about your talent level. Your talent level is there. Now, when I think of the typical Germans, I don't think of them as like putting an arm around your shoulder and saying, hey, you've got the talent, you've got it, but this is just what we have to do. I don't think about them protecting your feelings or anything.
No, not at all. They're not like that. But he did tell me why. He did tell me, it's for these reasons, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with performance. That's the worst part of it.
Yeah.
But anyways, there'd be times that I'd be training really well, weeks and weeks, months on months, and he'd say, sorry, guys, but these players are not in the squad. These guys are not going to be sitting on the bench or playing. And I was a part of that group time and time again. And I had to have perseverance. I had to be courageous enough. I had to have, enough willpower to say, okay, I'm going to keep practicing hard. I'm going to keep looking for new ways to get better. I had to keep playing, and practicing no matter what. And I did that. And then the team had not been doing well. We had not won that many points. Players started to get injured. And I was like, okay, my time's coming. Got to keep practicing.
Yeah.
I still don't get on the bench. I had to keep, practicing. A guy gets a red card. Still not on the bench.
Yeah.
Then another player got an injury, and another player got a red card. And I'm like, all right, he has no other choices.
Wow.
And so finally he says, okay, the only player we got left is Caleb. It was pretty much like that.
Yeah.
It was pretty much like that. So it was like the last guy because he's a coach. And I think he's a great coach.
Okay.
He knows so much about the game. I've learned a lot from him. But he does not, like most people, once they say something, they don't want to go against their word. I totally understand that.
Yeah.
And he told me that he didn't want to, I'm not going to play a game.
Right. So then his pride is kind of getting in the way because he said, look, you're not going to play a game this season. And now he's like, he doesn't want to go back on his word, even though his word was not great to you. Okay, go on. All right, I got it.
And so there's a lot of pressure on him, of course, because now he has to play a player. So I had never played in a Bundesliga game.
Yeah.
So he has a lot of pressure to say, okay, I have to play this player in a position that's not his normal position. I'm normally a center midfielder.
You're a center
defensive midfielder. Yeah.
Okay.
And so in this game, I was playing center back. So he said, okay, we got to play him.
My gosh. Had you been practicing at center back?
Some, but I'm normally a center midfielder.
Right.
So they play me at center back, and usually, how it happens, which is a good way for any player to, get their feet wet, is you get on the bench, you get into a game, you get substituted in, is what I mean.
Right.
For your first, debut. That way it's like, okay, I played 10 minutes, I feel good, now I'm ready to start a game.
Yeah, you kind of get the nerves out.
Yeah. Start. Yeah, exactly. So mine was a start, and it was against a team that's in the top 5 usually, and they got second this year.
Right.
So a huge team. So actually his name is Tedesco. That's the coach for Schalke.
Okay.
He's a very smart tactically. Like he does really good tactics for his team, and they set it up because they knew I was going to be playing.
Oh my gosh!
Because also I'm a right-footed player. I was playing left center back, so using a left foot. They set it up. They set up their tactics so that they would wait they'd let me, because usually you build out of the center backs. They'd wait until I had the ball, and then they'd pressure, because they would think, okay, here's the weakest link. This is how we're going to beat them.
Wow.
So they set up their whole, I know, they set up their whole game plan on me, messing up. That's how, which I totally get it. I would do the same thing, because you got this new guy out of position, not left-footed, playing, left center back. Perfect.
Wow.
Just so happens that, I came in, I was so calm, which is awesome. I give God so much glory for this, because, His Spirit was with me through that whole thing. Through the whole thing, I had to keep my, my nerves, so calm. And, I just felt so calm about everything. I was like, I've been wanting to do this my entire life. I'm not scared at all. I'm so excited for this.
Yeah.
So I had a great game. Every time they pressured me, I played perfectly out of it. They never, their whole game plan went down the tubes.
Oh, my gosh. That is awesome. That is.
So at halftime, they had to change their whole game plan, because their whole game plan was attacking me on this side, and we played out of it. Our team just played so well out of it, and I was included in that they had to change their game plan.
Wow.
So that first game, which we ended up getting unlucky, we got an unlucky goal, so we ended up losing 1-0, but it was just an awesome experience, and the team played so well. So the coach was really happy. Even the other team's coach was like, wow, our whole game plan, we had to change it. We were trying to do this, and we had to change it because, they just played so well. We were not anticipating that. So that was a huge compliment.
That is a huge compliment. So that, that is incredible. So that's, it's kind of ironic. They're trying to exploit, and, that you would normally expect that would be a weak spot. And instead, it's actually an opportunity that you really shine. You really, that is amazing. And so their coach, in the press, was talking without naming your name, but everybody knew what he was saying, basically.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That is phenomenal. Was that a home game?
That was a home game, yes.
Okay, all right, that was a home game, and you guys just lost 1-0 on an unlucky goal against Schalke, who finished second. That is crazy. All right, so and your own coach, did he give you the proper credit?
Yes. He told me that he was wrong about me, and he said that you did better than we ever would have thought. So they were super happy.
Yeah, and that's crazy. Again, that's not even your position. That's amazing to me. All right, so that was back when this is this season. We're talking to Caleb Stanko, who is in the Bundesliga, which is where American players want to be, and he's been over there since he was 17. You're now 24, is that right? Around there?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so he's a part of this kind of generation of American players that this is a great opportunity to shine. And it was this season that was your first opportunity, and it's in the top flight and everything, Bundesliga, against Schalke, and you do great out of position. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Do you have enough time for another story? Because I got an actually crazier one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Do you have time?
Okay.
We want to hear more. Yeah, okay. All right.
I'll tell you one more about a big game that I played, that I had this season. So the game was in Cologne.
Yeah.
I thought for sure I would have been starting this game, but unfortunately the coach said, no, we want this player to play for whatever reason.
Was this right after the Schalke game? Were you thinking after the Schalke?
A few games after.
Okay.
A few games after. It wasn't many.
Okay. So the next game maybe you didn't play because the red card guy is back or whatever. Or
correct.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Which I was already so happy to have just played one game, because the coach already said you're not going to play any games.
Oh, yeah.
So this is already a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, all right, go ahead, Caleb.
So anyways, for whatever reason, coach said, okay, you're not playing against FC Cologne because, we want this guy to play and whatever reason. So bigger names, everything, whatever.
Yeah, okay. Whatever. Sounds just like Rocco, by the way. Whatever. All right, go on. So
we get to the stadium, and we were expecting snow. And I know in Texas you guys don't have that much snow, but it can snow a lot in Michigan. But anyways,
right.
we get to Cologne, and it can snow a lot in Germany. But we get there, and the field is just covered. And I'm telling you, it's coming down like crazy. and there's guys out there shoveling the fields, trying to do everything they can, but they're just not able to get all of the snow off the field. So we start the game anyways, and there's snow everywhere. And if you've ever played soccer, you're trying to kick a ball on snow. I mean, that's so hard.
Right.
But I'm like, thank goodness I'm not starting this game. At least I'm not playing in this game, because it's so hard to play. How can you even play? It's just, it's like a recess, game, playing a game at recess.
Exactly.
So I'm there sitting on the bench, got my gloves on, my hat on, 2 blankets, big jacket, feeling great. And actually, for the guys that aren't playing, they give you like these insoles that are heated.
Yeah.
So you put them in, kind of like when you go skiing. You just put those in. So I got those in. I'm feeling great, and I believe they score. It's like 1-0. I'm like, oh geez, it's going to be one of those days. So we're just going to get killed. So it's 1-0 already. I'm like, at least I'm not playing. But then I started thinking. This is gonna be one of the games I'm gonna tell my kids about. This is such a cool game. There's tons of snow. It's just like a funny game.
Yeah.
Because it's like, wow, this never happens. So it's 1-0, and one of our center backs gets injured. I was like, what? You've got to be kidding me. And then the coach says, Caleb, go warm up. And mind you, there's nowhere to warm up. There's so much snow packed up. There's so many there's just piles of snow on the whole sideline. There's nowhere to jog.
Right.
So I have to go all the way around, to find some grass just to warm up on. And the other team gets a PK. So it's probably been 2 minutes I'm over there. And then the coach calls me back. I'm like, okay, this guy looks like he's okay. I'm probably not coming in.
Yeah.
So I come back and he says, put your jersey on. You're going in. I'm like, what? So I'm like, it's already 2-0 for the other team. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a great game. I've warmed up for 3 minutes. This is going to be an awesome game. I'm so excited. So it's 2-0.
About what minute? Where are we in the game?
The insoles. What?
I'm sorry. About what minute in the game are we? Is this in the second half?
20 minutes.
Oh.
First half.
Oh, my gosh.
15, 20 minutes in.
It's already 2-0. All right, go ahead. You got your insoles. Go on.
I still got those warm insoles in. I didn't have any time to take them off. So I'm like, all right, let's just go in there, have some fun. It's 2-0. I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
Wow.
No joke. Things start out okay.
Yeah.
And then there was a ball that goes out to the wide on the left side.
Yeah.
They cross it in. I slide to clear it, thinking it's an easy clearance. I score an own goal.
No.
I was like, what?
Oh.
No way. It can get worse.
Oh, my
gosh.
So
we end up going down 3-0. I was like, oh, no.
Oh, man.
But some of the guys came over and said, hey, it's one of those days. Don't worry about it. That's just, it's not working for any of us. Like, it's already 3-0 in the first half.
Yeah, okay.
Wow. But then, I kind of calm down. I start playing again because in those kind of situations, I think it was only my second game.
Yeah.
This is my second game. You can lose your nerves pretty easily. Those kind of situations. You score an own goal, you have to come in. I mean, it can end up being 4-5-0 real quick.
Right.
So I had to stay calm, keep my composure, and play. And we end up getting a goal before half, so it's 3-1, I believe.
Wow.
And then into the second half, we score again, so it's 3-2.
You are
We're
kidding
thinking,
me.
we got a chance here. We got a chance to win this thing.
Oh, my gosh.
And they had some really good forwards, some really big, fast forwards. And don't forget, there's all this snow still.
Right.
So we're just trying to play on this crazy snow. This is my second Bundesliga game. I'm just trying to, survive here. Just trying to, play well with with these kind of conditions.
Right.
So then we keep playing. I think it gets down to the 90th minute. We get a PK, so a penalty kick in the 90th minute. We tie it 3-3.
Oh, what?
It's crazy.
Oh,
It's crazy. So it's 3-3. Then we get a free kick right outside of their box, and one of their players goes up to clear it and decides, oh, no, the other team could score. I'm going to use my hand to hit it out. Thinking no one will see. I was like, that's a terrible idea, but good for us. So he goes up and hits it with his hand.
Oh, my goodness.
They have this rule instituted last year in the Bundesliga. It's called video assist.
Yeah.
So if there's, they can go back and look at it, kind of like with all American sports now,
right.
you know, like football, they can, you know, do a review. So they did a review, and it was a handball. So we get a PK in the 94th minute, and it's 3-3. So we go to score it, and we got this guy, Niels Peterson, he's ice cold in front of the net, and he puts it in, and we end up winning 4-3. So this game that I wanted to tell my kids about, you know, thinking that I wasn't even getting in the game, thinking we were just going to get killed, I end up playing in, and we end up winning. You know, and I played, so it's just like it was just an amazing time.
Oh my gosh, man! I thought during that story you had me on just the edge of my chair, just like what's going to happen. But honestly, when you're down 3-0, I'm like, we're going to have a good moral victory. There's no way they're going to pull this.
A good moral victory. You know,
I mean, I was like, there's no way. This cannot end like with the Disney win. This is amazing. That's a great story. All right, did you get to play in any other matches the rest of the season? I mean, that's already 2 more than you were supposed to play. Okay.
Correct. I ended up playing 6 games total, I believe. That's
awesome.
One in the Cup. For me, that was a super successful season. Of course, I had, you know, ups and downs within that season. I ended up getting injured at the very end of the season, so I wasn't able to play any more games. But for me, it was still a really successful season.
Absolutely.
I completely changed the mind of the coach. And it had to do with my perseverance, you know, and really thankful for that season.
Yeah, wow, man, it is ups and downs. But you feel like you won over the coach, though. I mean, obviously 6 games compared to you're supposed to play 0, and you won his respect, and he sees the talent that you have. It sounds like.
I think I won over his respect, but I still think that there are some things that won't change. But it was a big victory for me in my book.
Okay, well, let me ask.
Kind of like God parting the Red Sea. That's kind of like how this year actually went, because no one would have thought that I was even going to play one game, just because the coach had made up his mind and said, yeah, you're not going to play a game.
Right.
You know, so that was a huge victory in my book.
Right. That is phenomenal. What about your teammates? I mean, did you see like a change of respect for them, or do you already have the respect from all the training and practices?
I have the respect from them, you know, because they even know, like, there are some things that, you know, they don't have control over. They see a player who's playing well, and they give him respect because he's doing well, not because he's not playing necessarily.
Right. Right. Okay. I see. All right. We've got about a minute and 15 seconds, so I'll have to ask you about a World Cup prediction just because I promised that.
Sure.
But will you be back with Freiburg? I don't know what your contract status is.
I have 1 more year left with Freiburg.
Okay.
Potential move, but not sure yet. I'm still open to anything.
Okay. All right. Off the air, I got to ask you about that. I mean, that sounds exciting.
Okay.
All right. All right. With a minute left, what should we be watching for the World Cup? Who's going to win? Do you have to say Germany?
Oh, that's tough. I have my 2 picks are Germany.
Yeah.
Because they're reigning champs, and Brazil. Those are my two picks.
Okay. All right. You've got some studio audience. You got one in our audience pretty excited about that. And then you've got my producer Ernesto, who's not, because he's going for Mexico about 1,000%.
Okay.
All right. All right. My last question. My son I'll get in trouble with him if I don't ask. Like, who is the toughest person in the Bundesliga to defend, or who do you think?
In my opinion, it's Arjen Robben, who played for Bayern Munich.
Right.
Just because everyone knows what he's going to do.
Yeah.
But you can't stop it. Everyone knows he's left-footed. He's going to dribble inside and score and shoot into the usually, it doesn't matter, either post. But you know what he's going to do, but you can't stop it.
Right. It's incredible to watch every time. Yeah. Okay. He's the toughest. All right. How about an American over there that you think, beside yourself, we're obviously watching for you and cheering for you, but one of those other Americans that we just need to keep our eyes on?
Christian Pulisic. I mean, obviously, this guy he's a real talent. He's doing so well.
Okay.
And he's another one of those players that are just so hard to defend. That's why I'm so glad he's an American playing for the U.S. national team.
Yeah, me too. All right. Hey, Caleb, thank you so much for joining us, and it's just been awesome to kind of meet you over the phone and to hear some of this story. And, man, we're just excited for more. So thanks for being on Beacon Radio.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're going to be back with a quick wrap-up right after this break. That is Caleb Stanko. Steve Teal here, host of Beacon Radio. If you're a regular listener, you know I love doing this, getting to interview difference makers. Did you know I do this part-time for the San Antonio Beacon newspaper, sabeacon.com? However, my full-time ministry is Very Bold Ministries. And with Very Bold, we get to do the Peanut Butter Bowl, where we've collected almost 10,000 jars of peanut butter for chronically hungry kids. We've created resources and books for children like Bobby Be a Blessing, and our next book, Bobby Be Courageous. We go to schools, whoever will take us, ministries, hospitals, to reach all sorts of children. And we're working on some new teaching podcasts I can't wait to share with you. I also lead a Bible study for high school coaches, and we've got a lot more on the horizon for Very Bold, but only with your help. Very Bold Ministries is a 501c3 nonprofit faith support ministry, and we want you to be a part of Very Bold. Would you give an ongoing monthly gift or a one-time gift so we can just simply do what Jesus calls us to do? Now, right now, we're rebuilding our website, but you can reach out to me. You can text or call me, 210-325-1963. That's 210-325-1963. 1963, or email me, steve@sabeacon.com, and tell me that you want to be very bold. Loved meeting Caleb Stanko. Really excited to keep cheering him on and seeing what God has for him in the future. And I'm also really excited about next Saturday's show. We're going to talk to Gary Habermas. He is known as the foremost expert on the resurrection of Jesus Christ. He has something called the minimal facts approach to defending the resurrection, and it is incredible. You're going to want to hear that, so be sure to tune in next Saturday. For now, I'm Steve Teal for Beacon Radio. You can reach me, steve@sabeacon.com, steve@sabeacon.com. I want you to seek God and remember what Mom says, be a blessing.